So today we're going to talk about swimming and different types of cries, why your kid is crying and how to combat that, and what approach is necessary for which type of cry. Understanding that cry is super important. If you don't understand it, then you're going to try an approach that's not going to work for that individual kid. So the most common reason for kids to cry is anxiety. It could be separation anxiety, it could be anxiety about the swimming, it could be anxiety about going underwater or specific skills. So the anxious cry is the first one. When a kid is anxious and they're crying because of separation anxiety, that's different than crying about anxiety about the pool. So separation anxiety needs to be combated with relationship to then make the kid feel comfortable in the situation they're in. Because the reason that they're anxious is because they're separating from their parent, which is the comfortable position, and they're going into an uncomfortable spot. So their response is to cry so that they are trying to show you that they want to go back to the comfortable situation and be with the parent. An anxious cry about the water is a nervous reaction to an activity or to a skill that they're about to embark on, and they don't want to do it. Usually I'd say the brain gets in the way. It's overthinking. They think about all the bad stuff that can happen, and they don't actually think about how to swim and what the actual skill is. So when you have an anxious swimmer who's anxious about the skills themselves, they usually need the rip the band-aid off approach and need to be pushed a little bit quicker through the skills. But also need the relationship in the beginning so that you're comfortable pushing them through the skills. So the next cry we're going to talk about is the fear. So the kids who are scared, genuinely fear of the water, they're going to be your quietest. Your kids, usually the anxious kids are super loud screamers, and there are kids who are really scared and have fear. They're going to be quiet, reserved, and kind of standoffish because they don't want to engage in the activity. And they don't want to discuss the activity. They don't want to go any further than what they're doing. So with a kid who's fearful, their cry is going to be a little slower and a little calmer, and they really need a calm, slow approach. They need a slow relationship. And they need an explanation of what they're about to do and how it works and why it works and how they're going to be safe to combat the fear. So a lot of communication, a lot of talking, a lot of discussing the issues of what they're actually scared of and getting them to admit the actual thing they're scared of. So a lot of them might say, I don't want to swim. I'm scared to swim. I'm scared of the water. But that's the surface answer. There's really something deeper that's more specific that you really need to get them to bring out to identify their fear, to then talk them through it, and to then build the confidence around that. So if their fear is the deep end, or their fear is this pool's too far, or going to drown. Some kids think they're going to sink and drown and never come back up. And that could be the fear. And they may say, I don't want to swim. And you're trying to talk them off the ledge about why they can swim, but their actual fear is like sinking to the bottom and drowning. And if we can't figure that out, we can't then talk about it, and we can never get over it. So with the kids who are quiet, reserved, and really scared, you really need an approach to discuss it and use words to diffuse their fear. Another cry is the control cry. So kids, in my opinion nowadays especially, like to be in control. They got a lot more freedom, a lot more ability to dictate what they want to do, when they want to do it. So this leads to the cry for control. So the cry for control is, I'm going to get what I want by doing this action. So the kids are going to sometimes look like an anxious kid because they'll scream really loud, or they will just stop doing what they're doing and start calling for mom. So then it may look like a separation anxiety. But at the end of the day, they're just trying to get what they want because they don't want to do something. They may be scared, they may have small fear, they may not be scared at all. But they just want to control the situation. So when a good way to test that is giving the kid what they want, and if they stop crying immediately, then you know that they're faking it. So if it's an on and off cry, if you can start and stop the cry, then you know that they're doing the cry on purpose with those specific kids. So you have to distract them and try to get them in the mood of wanting to do what you want them to do versus trying to get them to do what you want them to do. So just a quick recap. The main three reasons for crying is anxiety, fear, and control. Once you can dictate which one your child is doing, then it's easier for the coach to then coach that individual. You can't teach a kid who's scared the same way you teach a kid who's anxious. You'll actually make them more scared. You can't teach a kid who's anxious the way you teach a kid who's got fear, because you're actually going to make them more anxious. And you can't teach a kid who wants control by utilizing either of the other options, because the thing is not fear, the thing is not anxiety, it's control. And if you don't give them the illusion of them being in control, then it's going to be a tough class and trying to go uphill getting them to do everything that you want them to do.